Hello, Kerry from the Soap Coach here, and welcome to part 5 of the Dog and I Revamp Diaries. It's been a difficult 2 or 3 weeks, which is why I've been really quiet on here. I haven't put another video on because A, I wasn't really feeling it, I wasn't really in the zone, and B, I didn't have anything tangible to bring you, and I didn't want to bring anything that wasn't positive for you in this. But I will talk about how it's been and how I feel. So over the last 2 or 3 weeks, slow progress has been really, really slow. And that's not been anybody's fault. It's just a case of conversations backwards and forwards between me and my chap who's doing my designing and my printing, and me finding time to do what I need to do alongside family life, running my soap coach business, etc., etc. So it's been quite difficult. However, we have made progress. But how am I feeling about it all? If you'd asked me that 2 weeks ago, I was going around telling everybody that I wished I hadn't started. But now I'm getting quite excited again because I'm seeing things that I'm actually seeing results from what I'm doing. I am very overwhelmed still by everything that I know I have to do, and I think that's because when you first start a business, you don't have any idea of what's ahead of you and what needs doing, whereas when you've been there and done that once before and you're kind of redoing it all, you have a much better idea of what still needs to be done, which is good in some ways but not in others. So yes, I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed by it, but what keeps me going is knowing that I've got so many ladies who I'm helping grow their businesses and build their businesses who, because it's been a while since I've done it, it's really good for me to go through it again and have a fresh perspective on it. So it's all positive. So this particular video, because I've done quite a lot and I've got some results quite quickly on lots of different things, I'm going to probably do this video now and then I'll do another one later on in the week, so you don't have a really long video to sit through. And I just want to keep them in sections that are easy to watch. So today we're going to be talking about how I've decided on my brand colour palette and how that's been transferred across to my dog products that are already in existence. So I'm just going to share my screen first of all, so that you can see what I'm looking at. Right, hopefully that's done it. So you're looking at my Canva at the moment. And my Dog and I colour palette was very much blues and yellows and beach themed. And as I think I've said before in a previous video, that didn't really go with the new image that I wanted to portray for the outdoorsy life. It did, but it was quite limiting. I think that's probably the right way of describing it. So I decided I wanted to have a colour palette which is quite neutral, quite moody maybe in some respects, and fitted where I'm coming from a little bit more. So I used Canva to do that. Now you could go to Pinterest and put in colour palettes. You could put in earth-based colour palettes or countryside colour palette, and it will come up with a selection of colours for you. So that's one way of doing it. And then quite often there's websites that you can do that on as well, and they will give you the hex codes so you know the exact shade that you have. Now a hex code, in case you don't know, is each colour has a code attached to it. So it's across any different websites that uses that method of colouring, you will get the same shade. But for the sake of simplicity, I quite like to stick to Canva. It suits me for what I do. And I've got these brand boards which I use as a starting point. Now, it's not complete because I still haven't settled on my fonts. My Dave, who's helping me out with that, he's going to come up with something which is a bit more modern than what I have been using. He has come up with my logo. So this is my amended logo, and you can see we've ditched the high heels. The ponytails come down a little bit, and we're kind of more in walking attire, so trainers, shoes, trousers, rather than a skirt and heels. So this is much more in line with what I'm looking for. So he's also changed some of this bit along the bottom here, changed the font, and generally made it a little bit more up to date for me. And from a colour perspective, as I say, wanted to go with the muted tones. Now, there's a couple of different ways of doing it, and I want to talk you through how I do it in case you find this really useful and want to do it for yourself. You have options really. You can either upload some images that you like the colours in or along the lines of how you want your brand to look, or you can use hex codes that you've already established from Pinterest or some other colour palette picker, you know what I mean on that. Or how I quite like to do it is to find things that I quite like the shades in. So with this, I started, this is my starting point really, and this is an element that was found in Canva. So I think I just put in, you can see I've been doing my labels, watercolour, I can't remember how I did it now. So watercolour, green, might be that one even. And it comes up with all these sorts of different things, but somewhere along the line here, oh here we go, it's this one here. Now this is only on the Pro version, clearly, but I quite like the fact that it had all these different shades in there. So what I've done is created a soap label using that, so I had something to drop in here. So I've created my soap label, or you could just create an A4 document, drop that into it, download it, and then re-upload it as a PNG. But I'll show you what I mean. So you can see here I've uploaded my my label. So here, this is a soap label that I've created in here, and I've dropped it into this particular document. We'll take it out because I don't want it in there. And by doing that, it means that when you go into any box and you want to change the colour of it, you can ask it to look at the colours that are already in the document. So let's have a little look at how that works. So it doesn't actually matter what colour is along here to begin with. These are just the ones that I've used. So we'll start from scratch so I can explain it a bit better to you, because I know I'm doing a really bad job here. Let's just copy this, make a copy, because I don't want to mess around with the one I've already done. Right, okie dokie. So make it a bit bigger so we can see it. Take that out because I don't really want that in there, and let's say we want to go down the blue and yellow elements and change it completely. So I will go for blue mixed watercolour and just see what comes up. And this is just one way of doing it. It's got a nice photograph there with lots of colours in. I quite like that. And I'm not going to waste any time faffing, so I'm just going to use that image and drag it in here. That means that colour, that picture is now in this document, and Canva will pick up those colours if I want to use them for anything else. So I'm going to choose all my colour palette from that one image. So here we go to the colour, and then if you look down here, it comes up with photo colours, and it's shown me that all these colours are in that image. Now if I go to see all, that's the only ones it's got. I mean, that is a really nice colour palette in itself. You could create a brand using that very easily. In fact, I try not to look at it too much because I might want to go back to it. There's got a lot of similarities to my old branding in there. So all I'm going to do is transfer those colours across to here. So that one there, we'll make it that. That one there, we'll make it that. There, that, there, that. There, that. So that is going to be my new dog and eye colour palette, and that's really how I created mine, but obviously just used a different image. You could do the same by choosing a photograph that you like, which is why there's a picture in there. I used, let's choose a sea beach photograph and see what happens. So let's find one with lots of different colours in it. That one there is quite nice. You could use that, drag it into here, and then when you go to change your colours, you can ask it to look at the colours that are in that picture instead. So you could have that as your colour palette, or you can mix and match between whatever you've got on there already. So lots of different ways of doing it. I know this is not really a lesson about how to do it, so I'm not going to go on about it anymore. So this is the colours that I've got here. And then what I've done is forwarded this in a little bit more detail to Dave, who's doing all my labels for me. And he has taken the colours that we've got, what I'd originally chosen, so these ones here, he's taken these and then he's used them to transfer across to my old labels, and he's just redesigned them and tweaked them using the new imagery. Now, this is where you're going to get a sneak peek on what my new labels are going to look like. He has come up with the bright idea of using a bit of a watercolour theme on those as well, which is great because it just modernises them a little bit. And this is just a very quick sneak peek. Okay, so this is a very quick sneak peek on what he's done for me so far. So this is going to be my shampoo. He's put the watercolour in there, he's changed the colour there. My colognes, we've changed that one to orange because I wanted, one of my new products is orange and neroli from my human soap range, so I wanted an orange in there rather than a yellow, but I didn't want it to be a bright orange, I wanted it to be more of a muted orange, so we've kind of come up with this, which is why it's in my brand board. So yeah, that's just a very sneak peek of the new labels. They're not quite finished. There's a couple of things I want to add to them. So that is in hand, but you can see how they are matching up with these. So that's my brand board, and that's my beginnings of my labels. And then what I'm going to be doing is creating my human labels based on the colour palette as well. So everything across the whole range is going to be matching to a degree. I need to try and bring the changes with making sure it's really clear which products are for dogs and which are for humans, but that will come. And yeah, really, that's what I've done so far. And that, it doesn't seem like a lot, but there's a lot of work that's gone into that. By the time I've created my brand board, worked around that, and then I've obviously been able to see Dave, talked about the branding, the logo and how we want to play that. And then he's had to redesign my labels and come back to me. So that is that aspect. The other thing I've been looking at is my soap packaging. So my soap packaging for dogs is just going to be a belly band with the new logo on, and colour coded to a degree as well, but probably the same. I haven't quite decided about that yet. And then the soap, the human soaps, I've ummed and ahed and ummed and ahed, and I have decided what I'm going to do with those, and I'm just waiting. I've placed an order. I'm not going to tell you any more about it at the moment, other than to say I will do the next video. It may not even be this week, it depends on how quickly they come through. I'll do the next video when I've got my new soap packaging. Anyway, so hopefully that hasn't been too long, actually, not as long as I thought it was going to be. And that's a very quick whistle-stop tour on how I've decided on my brand colours, a quick demo on how I've used Canva to do that, albeit hopefully now I've done it on this board here, you'll see a bit better how I've done that. And it will give you some inspiration maybe to come up with some ideas for your own if you're at that point. Okie dokie. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.